Oh my God. Hello, hello, hello. Can people hear me? Can you guys hear me? Is this okay? Oh my gosh. I'm hoping you guys can hear me at all. This shit isn't crazy low. What's up? Hold on. I'm gonna start texting everybody. Everybody give me a one in the chat if you can hear me well. Because if not, I'm going to sleep. I'm done with this. I've been trying 3 times in a row. I've been trying this shit for an hour now. Trying to fucking get on here. So, can everybody hear me? Do I sound okay? Let me text my boy. See what's good. Yo, on. Can you hear me? Oh my god, how's everybody doing? I'm sorry if I sound a little stuffed up and shit. I'm a bit sick, so you know that's why I've been gone for about shit, damn near a month. If I'm being honest, the whole Kendrick and Drake thing kind of had me exhausted. If I'm being honest, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Do I have to be that close to it to get any sort of sound? Is anyone here? There is no one here. Fuck me. Let's see what's good. Let's see what's good. I've had to update myself. Yeah, you can hear me? You can hear me? What's good, bro? Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for the people tuning in. Cheers to all you all out there. Mm. Sorry, it's been quite a while since I've been on YouTube at all. It's been 30 days. 30 days, which I usually don't do. I've been pretty good on it about coming on here like literally every freaking 2 days, putting some shit out. But real life happens to you, man. I'm not gonna lie. I've been sick for the last like week and a half, 2 weeks. Before that, like I said, the whole Drake and Kendrick thing just had me exhausted. I'm telling you, bro. Like, there needs to be a documentary made about the Drake and Kendrick beef and how it exhausted small YouTubers. Because I'm telling you, like, if you didn't have a team behind you putting out shit all day, or if you weren't doing streams, you were not getting content out of that stuff, bro. They were dropping every 2 hours, bro. As soon as I would come up with a good concept for a video, record the video, shoot the video, and start editing it, they would drop another video, and the whole entire idea that I had for the previous one was now gone. So that shit had me done. I'm not gonna lie to you. Um, really kind of pissed me off, but it was a good challenge to have because I'm not gonna lie, like I'm a hip hop YouTuber. That was like the biggest thing happening. Shout out to the people watching this while I have the terrible webcam quality. I need to get a better webcam. I never use this shit. I have my Canon and everything, but I don't have the cables or whatever to hook up the Canon and make it live stream. Da, 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 da. This is kind of just a thing that I decided to do um, today. Just realizing, like, wow, it's been about a month since I've been on my YouTube channel, and I was buzzing for a little bit. I had some things coming. A lot of people commenting on there. A lot of people caring about different things that was happening on my YouTube. So, shout out to y'all. I really appreciate it, man. Uh, what we getting into today? What we talking about today? There's quite a few things. One reason I was kind of upset about not being able to live stream earlier through Streamlabs and stuff was because I was afraid that I might not be able to share my screen. But apparently, here on YouTube, I am allowed to share my screen. So I am going to hold on. Sharing. Yeah, sharing entire screen. I don't got no. Let me before I share my screen. Let me double check that I don't got no porn open. Okay, nothing incriminating. Yeah. I got regular stuff that my mother would be proud of. Oh, you're taking a couple courses. That's nice. I don't want her to see the old Pornhub stuff. Da-da-da. There you guys can see me now. I'm gonna put this down. Let's switch to over here. Yeah, I wanted to because I want to start talking about a lot of different things that have been happening. Of course, I'm gonna get to the whole Drizzy Drake thing going on right now. So we can just go on Twitter. Twitter. Right now, and we can bring up the whole Drake cryptic messages. I've always been leaving some cryptic messages. We all know how he likes to do, constantly always, talking about this and that and blah 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 blah. Alluding to things all the fucking time. So we're gonna put that in right now because I saw it on No Jumper, and I don't know what you guys think about all that stuff about Drake. Basically, he posted kind of a cryptic text saying like, "Yeah, what is it? It's right here." I was gonna wait till later, but I figured, fuck it, I'm only gonna be here for like an hour. This shit, just setting up this live took so long. I'm no longer enthused. I don't want to give you guys any sort of energy from me right now. So if you guys are still watching this, I appreciate every bit of love that you're giving me, but I'm not giving any in return. But yeah, he puts up this weird shit saying, "Ghosts don't worry about one-trick ponies," which I get what he's trying to say. It's fairly straightforward. I would say, like, oh, none of this shit has me down. It makes me wonder though if he's just trying to be on to more things in the sense of like, yo, our like we on to the summer vibes like he posted before, or if this means like, bro, like, nigga, I'm still not worried about you, and I'll come through and drop some crazy shit on you whenever I fucking want to. I mean, first off, let's be honest, Kendrick Lamar is Kendrick Lamar, so I don't necessarily think that this is the type of guy that Drake can just do whatever he wants to him. You know what I mean? We've seen it already. I mean, he literally he made Drake put on the Daft Punk helmet. Let's be honest. He was definitely getting hit over the head. So I don't think Drake is being dumb or anything like this. But I definitely do think that when this whole altercation happened, he was coming off a tour. I think a lot of people were just in his ear in the sense of like, yo, you've been waiting on this forever. You got a strike. And I think he definitely didn't think it all the way through. He's been living this life of being in charge of hip hop, I guess you could say, quote unquote. I know a lot of people are gonna forget about that. Like, what do you mean? He's a vulture and all that shit, blah blah blah. Sure, whatever. That's how you feel. But at the end of the day, he's been on top of hip hop for a very long time, longer than anyone, realistically, holding that spot. And I know people want to debate that too, but it's not really debatable. Jay-Z was on top of that spot, but even when he was on top of that spot in his later years, it was more like, oh, whenever he wants to drop, everybody will move out the way. But that was about it. You know what I mean? You could go years without having a number one song of the summer from Jay-Z, and they were still regarding him as the top guy. Whereas Drake is somebody who has a song in the summer, a song in the winter, a song in the fall, a song in the spring, every single time. And this has been for over 10 years now. So whether or not you like it, whether or not you like his music or him, he is definitely that guy. So I can see him saying this, but yeah, Kendrick is definitely not the one to be fucked with. Let's keep it real right now. But this type of shit, man. This is why I love hip hop, man. And I wouldn't be surprised if Drake still somehow just dropped something, because you know, if there's one thing about Drake that we can say, he's a little zesty, as you can see right here. My boy's dressed like Shooter McGavin from fucking Happy Gilmore. He's got the swag, but there's always a little bit of zestiness. I'm not gonna lie. Like Drake is one of my favorites. To me, it's J. Cole, then him, then Kendrick. Drake, he's always one of those dudes. I definitely like him a lot more than Kendrick, but he does a lot of things that are very cringy. He does a lot of things you have to look past in order to like his music. And so, he does it so much, in fact, that I start thinking like, is he doing this on purpose, like just to troll me? You know what I mean? Like this dude will come out with the hottest song in the world and then paint his fingernails. It's like, all right, what are we doing here, bro? Like, does he want you to just almost be like, oh, like I'm so dope, you have to love me? I have no idea, but yeah, man, Drizzy Drake, bro. I don't know what's gonna happen. I wouldn't be surprised though if in the next like few years or so, or not even a few years, shorter than that, in the next few months or so, he definitely drops some sort of subliminal or something like that. I mean, who the fuck knows? Shout out to all the homies in the chat right now. You got this shit going up. There's a lot of things going on in the rap game right now. Like, honestly, you guys tell me what you think. Do you still consider Drake to be the number one guy? And when I say number one guy, I'm not necessarily saying like number one, like he's the best as far as like performance or being the best rapper, just being like the number one guy, the hit maker. Do you still see Drake in that way or no? Because that's what I'm trying to figure out. I think we're in this weird transition period where we could be looking at Drake in a very different way. And, I'll be honest, I don't know if I'm ready for it. He fought tooth and nail for that position, and I don't know if I'm ready for everything to change. But at the same time, that's how hip hop is. I mean, there are plenty of people who weren't ready for Ja Rule to lose his spot, and he most definitely did. So, there's ebbs and flows everywhere. Even though I am a comedian and not a rapper, someone like Drake or honestly any of the big three, they're all inspiring, bro. Because it's one of those things where it's just like it's hard being on top. And even when you're on top, you still got to deal with people coming at you and battles you got to have. I'm killed to be somebody like Lil Uzi, minus the confusion that young man seems to have. But I would kill to be like one of those rappers. Like I would kill to be Lil Yachty instead of Drake. You know what I mean? You can make an album about whatever you want to make the album about. You can do this, you can do that. People might think it's weird, but they're not like putting together conspiracy theories about you and like dog bowls and shit. That's what happens when you get to be the Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Drake level. That's why like I was hurt by J. Cole when he essentially backed out of everything and apologized, and I still think it was lame, but I do understand it because he's in that top 3 position. And the simple fact of the matter is, when Kendrick and Drake were beefing, they were going gloves off. And I think one, J. Cole was like, I don't necessarily want my friends researching anything bad that could come out of me and putting that shit on Front Street. But I also think there was something else too, where he was like, yo, I'm not trying to research a bunch of bad shit about my friends. I'm not trying to see all that. I'm not trying to do all that, which is, that's real, man. I mean, there's only certain people that I feel like can deal with all that stuff. And what do you guys think? Like, if someone is, or if you are a rapper or something, you're willing to battle in that way, talk about whatever, is that person really your friend or not? I think these are real conversations people need to start having. Uh, Thank you guys for being so patient with me too, man. I know I sound fucking crazy. I know I sound crazy, but I had to get up on here, man. No matter how bad I felt, like I felt so sick. I got like chills the other day, and it's like 90 degrees outside. I was having chills and all sorts of crazy shit. You know, I think it's because I started working out. Like I recently started going to the gym and everything. Started working out like almost every day, for real. Stopped drinking as much. Stopped really like smoking and stuff like that. And then as soon as once I got to like day 3 of exercising, I got this nasty headache, crazy headache, right? And I was like worried. I was like, dang, maybe I've been pushing myself too hard. Next day, stuffy nose, headache, sore throat. So I think it's the exercise that made me sick. I think living good and trying to take care of my body is what destroyed my body. So I'll be doing none of that. I'm all done. You know, the life of a comedian. You should never take care of your body. Just drink, smoke, and just keep going until you drop over. Speaking of comedians too, um, there was a story I wanted to read about George Lopez. Apparently, my boy George Lopez is having a tough time. Because that's the thing. I feel like comedians and hip hop, there's this weird thing where it's like, if hip hop is in a rough time, comedy's in a rough time. If hip hop's in a good place, comedy's in a good place. I don't know why. It's on some like weird planet aligning astrology shit, but it'd be like that sometimes. So let me see. George Lopez allegedly ends Eagle Mountain Casino performance prematurely amid audience disruptions. Let's see that. Renowned comedian George Lopez reported he exited his show early on Friday due to disturbances from the audience, leading Eagle Mountain Casino to criticize the star for disappointing fans. All right, first off, let's just break this down. Obviously, George Lopez, he had the early show on Friday. Early Friday is never that good, I'll be honest. And I'm not even somebody at the level of George Lopez. He's a legend. You know what I mean? So I've done early Friday shows, a 7 o'clock show on a Friday, 6 p.m. show on a Friday. It's never fucking good. You have, because people who want to go out, but they have something better to do than watch you. Okay? So you're their appetizer for the night, and they're treating you like it. They're treating you like a mozzarella stick. They're treating you like potato skins. They're going, this is great, but I don't actually need you. And if the real thing that I want to see comes, I'd much rather prefer that. So they're going to this comedy show. Usually, and George Lopez, like I said, he's a legend. So it's like they're going to this comedy show to see George Lopez, but George Lopez is probably more of a time filler. This is at a casino too. So a lot of these things are paid for or included, I would assume. So I'd assume he's probably doing some sort of residency there as well too, which means he's getting a bunch of 60, 70-year-old people, most likely white people, in Nevada who are watching him in order to kill time before they go and watch Celine Dion. Okay, so they have no actual regard for George Lopez. They don't give a shit about George Lopez, and they're just going to kill time by watching George Lopez before they see the person they actually want later. And this is, that's tough. That's tough. So, he dealt with that. Let's go on and read this story. The comic, age 63, is said to have walked off stage at Eagle Mountain Casino. Like I said, he's a time filler for a lot of these people. So I'm assuming they're probably looking at their phones. They're probably talking to their friend directly next to them. And George Lopez is George Lopez. So he's like, I'm not sitting here for this. It's said to have walked off stage at Eagle Mountain Casino in Porterville, California. Okay, not Las Vegas, California. So slightly different, but still a casino crowd. And casino crowds they're rough. I've done a couple in Atlantic City. Not fun. Not fun. They just got off the buffet, you know, and they want to hear you're like they're treating George Lopez the way I treat like a DJ Vlad video from YouTube on my phone when I'm at break for work. You know what I mean? We've all been there. You have 30 minutes on your break, right? So you're like stuffing your mouth with whatever thing you managed to buy within 10 minutes of your 30-minute break, right? And then while that's happening, you're watching Vlad videos, you're watching DJ Academics, you're watching whatever the fuck, Jamari or some shit. And you don't really even that, it's not really even entertainment to you at that point because you're not soaking in the information they're giving you. You're just trying to distract yourself from actually living your life. And and George Lopez's set is basically an allegory for that. Let's keep going. Eagle Mountain Casino expressed dissatisfaction in a Facebook statement stating, "Tonight, George Lopez let down his fans and sold out audience by walking out and ending his detailed his show 30 okay walking out and ending his show 30 minutes later." I will say this too. This has nothing to do with George Lopez. This has nothing to do with California and the Eagle Mountain Casino. Has anybody noticed how comfortable news articles are with like grammar and spelling errors nowadays? I feel like once they stopped printing on actual paper, the bar just fell to the ground. Nobody gives a shit anymore. I can't tell you how many times I read an article and there's like the wrong word in there. There's like 3 spaces for no reason. Who's writing these things? That being said, I'd love a position writing one of these things. I don't know how these people get paid. Nothing but, I swear to God, I'll be in Bushwick and like you talk to people and everybody's a fucking writer. Everybody's a writer. Everybody's a content creator. You know what I mean? Except me. I can't get paid to do any of these things whatsoever. But, everybody's a writer. Everybody's a content creator. They're all making money. They're all in a 1-bedroom apartment in Bushwick, which is quite expensive, let me tell you. $2,200 at least, making that. Meanwhile, they're having fucking errors like this. Fuck you if you make more money than me, basically is what I'm saying to you. Let's get back to the casino. The casino, which has a 2,000-person capacity, noted that Lopez had his own security on site who were capable of removing any disruptive individuals from the event. Good shit on George Lopez. Sounds like George Lopez is moving like Drake. He has the presidential package. He has little flags on the front hood, which is good. He's a legend. He should. People are crazy. Ever since that one guy tried to stab Dave Chappelle, I've always said the comics need security. Like you shouldn't just have security at the club. You need security like as a person, especially when you're like a George Lopez guy, So they're saying he can remove any individuals. I'm assuming they're trying to say this as like, well, if you can remove anybody, then you shouldn't have left your show. Fuck you. You still should care about the crowd that you're exposing him to, especially if it's a sold out crowd, meaning he sold those tickets for you. We continue to go on. According to reports, there was a pre-show stratagem plan should interruptions from the audience occur. That's a red flag. Considering the fact that they're like, all right, if these people freak out, then here's what you do. It means that people freak out all the time. The casino stated he could have provided us an opportunity to allow our security team to escort any hecklers out. Since his own private security did not, George decided to not continue with the show and leave. Online commenters declared that those interruptions were not heckling, rather they were fans expressing their admiration for the Blue Beetle actor. Yeah, bullshit. I mean, I think this is what we're running into now when it comes to comedy, is that so much comedy is on TikTok and so much comedy has to do with crowd work that now everybody thinks if they're calling out, they're helping the show. They're like, oh, it's not heckling unless I'm calling you names. No, speaking when not spoken to is heckling. Let me be very, very honest about that. Anybody watching this right now who thinks you're like a great person to talk to during a comedy show, you suck. Okay? There really is no person that's like a great person to go back and forth with. Even with crowd work comics, I'm telling you, they'd probably prefer, for the most part, that you just let them do their jokes. They're good at the crowd work because they get interrupted so much, so you get good at it, you know, in a way, in the same way that an abusive wife is good at taking a beating. She doesn't want the beating, okay? But you keep giving her one. So she learned how to move her jaw this way to take the impact a little bit better. Okay? That's what a crowd work comic is, a beaten housewife. Stop acting like these people want to be this little, Bronx Zoo monkey for you. They don't. They don't. They don't care about you. They want to express their views. But since your interactions are what give them traction on YouTube or on fucking IG, they do it. But they hate it. And George Lopez is just accomplished enough to be honest about hating it. And I think that's fine. you know? Oh gosh. This stuff is sorry about that rant. This whole thing has just been hitting me very, very close, just because it's just so hard. Comedy is in this very, very weird place. I mean, all of artistry is in a very weird place. I mean, AI can mimic everything you fucking do, and content creation has morphed everything where someone who has no qualifications in whatever you do as an artist can now do your art or be in the same art as you, simply because they have a following. So I get very, very upset about these things. But let's read on. Oh my God, this fucking thing is killing me. Facebook users explained it was not like he had 100 people heckling, maybe like 4. All it was people yelling, "We love you," and making references to old jokes. Nothing bad, in my opinion. Time for George Lopez to walk out. "Can I buy you a drink?" is all she said to you, tweeted another individual in response to one of Lopez's posts. Previously, Lopez had postponed his show at the same venue on 420 due to a health issue with the Friday show serving as a makeup day. Okay, yeah, yeah, I understand. We'll keep going. One disappointed fan remarked, "So disappointed. We drove an hour and a half to see him twice now. Really a letdown. He never wanted to be here, and it showed. Sad little man. That's why he's divorced." That's deep cut, but after traveling an hour and a half, I get that. I get that. But you also have to understand that George Lopez, he's getting older. He's getting older, and he doesn't have to take your shit. And he's living in a world where you have to realize the world that George Lopez once lived in and the world that George Lopez is living in now. Okay? George Lopez was a Mexican American man in California who probably had to go through a lot of weird racist shit, people making fucking jokes about blah, 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 blah. Then he had to deal with someone like Carlos Mencia stealing his jokes, but then also kind of being a shuck and jive Mexican for other Mexican people. You know what I mean? And he had to climb his way through everything, through comedy, to become who he is today. And he earned that spot. He's had his own sitcom, he's had big comedy specials, he's done everything that a stand-up comedian wants to do. He's checked it off the list. And he lived in a world that before where it's like you got shat on and you got shat on and you got shat on, especially if you're a minority, you got shat on extra. Okay? They put a little extra tapatio on your shit for you to eat every single day. But if you broke through, you could be, one of the chosen few, a royal, a famous person, as it was before 2010. where you got special treatment and you got free shit and this shit and that thing happened. And, you know what I mean? People loved you just from simply seeing you. Now the entire world treats famous people the same way they treat McDonald's. You know what I mean? Like it's a self-serve type thing where they're upset at you even before they experience you. And they expect you to give them the whole world. You know what I mean? Now they're not, it's not a privilege to see you. You know, they feel that it's a privilege for you to speak to them. And, you know, there's privilege, it's a mutual privilege, I would say. I think both sides are a little right. But the way that, you know, content and comedy has gone now is that, yeah, someone like, you know, the audience thinks that someone like George Lopez is not shit and he should just be lucky that he's in front of them. It's like, no, George Lopez spent years and years honing his craft, working really hard, and now he's fucking old and he doesn't want to deal with your extra shit, you know? So I get it, man. I get it. I get it. I wonder when the pendulum is going to swing back around and comedians are going to start having more balls and talking about this type of stuff and kind of putting it out there like, hey, I don't really fuck with you. You know what I mean? Like, you know, audiences either my jokes are funny or they're not. And that's it. You know what I mean? I don't need any extra shit from you people. If you like me, you like me. If you don't, you don't. You know, I think there's somebody who needs to step out and say that. I step out and say that all the time, but I have no career. There needs to be someone. Can Jerry Seinfeld step out and say that? The world hates Jerry Seinfeld already. I feel like if he would take this on the chin just a little bit, people would forget about the Pop Tart movie and all the other things. You know, Jerry Seinfeld, that was a heel turn. Am I right? You know, Cat Williams, I think he really did set something off. You know, this is the year of exposure, and this is the year of the order of things changing. Drake gets taken down out of nowhere. Jerry Seinfeld now gets taken down and hit with a bunch of different shit, and people hate him. Who's next? I have no idea. What's Dennis Leary up to? Is he going to get taken down a peg? I would love that. You know, sorry, I know we've only been here for 30 minutes. It's quite a long time, you know, doing our thing, but still at Rise. I had to get on here for just a few minutes, man. I mean, it took an hour to get the audio and the visual. And now I feel like I have to give you guys something, at least, you know what I mean? And next time, I'm definitely going to come out earlier. I think I'm going to try and do this. Like, I don't want to see, this is why you don't go in front of the camera and make promises. Because I want to say every day, like an hour a day. I do want to say every day, but there's a part of me that knows that I probably can't do that, but I will still say every day so you guys can hold me accountable. And then when I don't do that, you can call me a fraud. Because it's basically what content creation is. It's not about making people laugh. It's not about educating anybody. It's about different content creators making you think that they're authentic and then doing things that are inauthentic and then making you guys feel better about yourselves and your own authenticity by catching them in their own lies. So I'd like to provide that to you. So I'm going to tell you that I'm going to go live every single day. And maybe I will. Maybe I will. But chances are I really won't. And I don't feel bad about that. I don't feel bad about that. Now that we're living in this world of mental health, you don't really have to feel bad about anything. You know what I mean? We're living in the world of mental health and neurodivergence. So, which means, you know, no one really has to take accountability. You know, not only am I seeing a therapist, but I'm half retarded. You say that, you're out scot-free, baby. I'll tell you right now. Can you still say the R word? I don't fucking know. If they call it new rule, if any word is replaced with the first letter of that word and then just word, you can no longer say that. So R word is gone. N word was the first one to fall in that battle. But R word is there, F word is there. It's put in its hours. Definitely put in its Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours. Um, speaking of 10,000 hours, let's talk about 30 hours. Let's talk about Kanye West, man. You guys hear about those allegations with Kanye West? Let's see if we can look this up. Hmm. You know, Kanye allegations. There we go. First thing, first thing that comes up. People have been ready. People have been waiting for him to get caught about this. Um, okay. Well, there's a lot of shit in here. So, if some of you haven't heard, um, Kanye is currently being sued for sexual harassment by one of his ex-assistants. This ex-assistant, um, you're probably thinking that maybe they, went to Dartmouth and were the top of their class. You may think that this ex-assistant was a nepo baby and was very, very connected and but educated at the same time. And I would like to tell you that neither of those things are true. This ex-assistant happened to be an OnlyFans model. Surprise with Kanye, right? She happened to be an OnlyFans model and a very actually successful one. To her credit, I'll be real with you. She's supposedly making $1 million a year, which is fucking crazy. And I will say, when it comes to the OF type stuff, I'm not the biggest fan of it. You know what I mean? But hey, you know, make your money, and if making your money is making $1 million, go ahead and do it. There's certain levels of money that people get to where you're like, I have no right to judge you. You know what I mean? Like if there's a guy getting paid like, you know, $15 million a year, and like he just has to like eat turds for like 3 days out of the year, there's like a part of me that's disgusted and revolted and looking at him like, who are you? How could you do this? Is anything, sacred to you? You know, what's your life like? The fact that you could kind of just excuse this kind of lifestyle is crazy to me. Um, the fact that you're the type of guy to be bought and sold is disgusting. Um, but then as soon as he cashes that check or as soon as that deposit comes in, I will have to say that a lot of my commentary would stop. And I don't necessarily think I have a price for eating shit, literally, not figuratively. Because figuratively, I'll eat shit all day for like $20 an hour. But literally, to num 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 num, uh, num 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 num, I don't know if I could, but I don't know if I would judge somebody for 15 million a year for doing that. But let's get back to the subject. So, like I said, this ex-assistant OnlyFans model, $1 million a year, which is why I can't judge. But apparently, she linked up with Kanye West, the big head honcho, the Captain Save-A-Ho of black rappers. He really is that type of dude. If there is a woman in the industry who's been with everybody, he's the one who's gonna wife her. He's the one who's gonna take her to the side and tell her she can be better. And that's essentially what he did with this woman. He hired her as an ex-assistant, or hired her as an assistant. And first, she was just assisting with like fashion stuff, giving, I guess, her point of views on his fashion line. And then she also apparently helped out on Donda a little bit on 3 tracks on Donda, which is just pretty privileged to the next level. You know what I mean? Like, I just love to think that there's like, like frumpy looking women who are like graduating the best schools in the entire country, hustling to do some like internship at Rock Nation, and and they do this and they do that, and they do all these internships, and they bust their ass, and they slit the throat of their once friends that they knew in fucking grade school and college, and then just some hot whore comes on and takes the job they've been setting themselves up for the last decade. It's crazy. It's crazy. For everything those nasty dudes do, the Diddies of the world and all that shit, for everything that those dudes do, I will say, um, you know, there's definitely some advantages to it. There has to be some sort of admission in that way where it's like, hey, this person treated me shitty. Someone like a Kanye, it's like, all right, this guy did shove his dick in my face. But also, if he was never planning to shove his dick in my face, I would never have been able to get songwriting credits on a Grammy nominated album. So maybe I should shut my mouth. Um, she shouldn't shut her mouth, but you know what I mean. You win some, you lose some, kid. You know? Oh my God, what am I talking about? Yo, oh my God, hell yeah, there's people coming in here. Yo, shout out to everybody coming in here. I know it's a little late. We talking about the breaking K dot beef. I know sometimes the fucking chat stream is a little delayed. I know I'm getting new at all this shit, guys. I'm getting new at all this shit, so you got to give me a little bit of a break. I'm assuming this is worse than everything he's done. Bro isn't helping himself. I totally agree. Yeah, man. As far as let's go back to the Drake shit. I think with the Drake shit, man, he's definitely not helping himself, bro. I mean, he looks real dumb, bro. Drake, he's that type of guy where I love the dude. I really do. As an artist, I really do like the guy, but he's just somebody who he really makes it hard. He really makes it hard for you to like him. And I think that's part of his appeal in this weird way. Because I don't know about you guys, but like I'm a bit of a masochist. You know what I mean? I've had toxic relationships. I've been with shitty people before. You know what I'm saying? And I legitimately feel like Drake is just another toxic relationship. Pause. You know what I mean? Like he's one of those people that I think he wants to know how much you love him, so he does a lot of weird shit all the fucking time. And Dot is the GOAT. Dot is the GOAT. I will say that. I mean, shout out to Trey Carter over here putting shit out there. I mean, I understand what you're saying. He is the GOAT, but at the same time, let's be real though. Is there really anybody who makes more entertaining music than Drake? Can we be real? Because I love Kendrick Lamar. Attention white. Entertaining music. He does make white music. He makes white music, he makes black music, but he makes music. He makes mixed music. Let's be honest. You know what I mean? He makes music that remember that girl, what was her name? Cindy from the Boondocks. Remember the mixed girl that lived across the street from Huey and Riley? He makes music that Cindy from Boondocks would love. You know what I mean? but it works nonetheless, man. And he does have shit to offer. But that's the thing, is like with K Dot, man, I love Kendrick, but for me, he's only like I have to be in a certain mood to really fuck with him like that. That's really what it is with him. Is like I feel like Kendrick only has like 10 to 15 songs that you can play no matter what like situation you're in. You know what I mean? And let me say, like, also too, I also feel like over the years we've become a lot more accustomed to shit where we can play an artist's music no matter what, wherever, you know. It's kind of like how I was saying before with the whole content creation type shit, where now I think a lot of artists do kind of make more cookie cutter type shit. I'll be honest, it's true. But there is a gift to that. There is something about that, and I think Drake does it really well. And I also feel like he gives a lot of very balanced um, shit to his projects. It's just that anybody who hates him, um, I just feel like you gonna unsubscribe. I feel you. I just feel like anybody who hates him though, just like doesn't listen to his stuff. If I'll be honest with you, like a lot of people who listen to Drake, if we're being 100% with you, like will, or a lot of people that like think they don't like Drake, they only hear his radio stuff. Like there's a lot of great shit. If you listen to a full album, like I have a new thing as like a rap connoisseur. Like now as like a person who's had these arguments, because I've had to go to bars lately because this Drake and Kendrick beef. I'll be honest, Drake has a lot of shit he needs to answer for, particularly to his fan base. Because I've had to go out there damn near about to fight niggas, bro, at bars about all this type of shit. And I've made one rule. Now I won't talk to hip hop fans or someone who has a hip hop opinion if they haven't listened to the artist in question their entire album. You know what I mean? So like if you're gonna say like, oh, Drake doesn't put himself out there, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that, whatever, blah 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 blah. I can agree with you if you've listened to an entire recent body of work. You don't have to listen to the whole discography, but you have to listen to a recent body of work. I feel like too many people now, because hip hop is so popular, they have this kind of vibe of like hip hop just should only be curated to how they feel in that moment. You know what I mean? And so they won't listen to anybody's body of work, but then they'll hear something on the radio and now just write a artist off completely. You know, because it's like even with the whole Kendrick thing, people talking about how Kendrick got bops, and I mean Kendrick doesn't have bops. It's like that's not true. I mean, everybody was jumping to King Kunta in like 2017, 2016 when that came out. You know, he's had a lot of shit, man. He's had a lot of shit. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you, Trey. You know, saying that you know, Drake definitely could have been a lot better after Nothing Was the Same. And, you know, it's so funny. It's so funny. He has regressed. It's so funny you're saying that because I recently listened to Scorpion. I was listening to Scorpion a lot. Honestly, up until I just did this live today. And I realized there's actually a lot of shit on that album that I think a lot of people overlook. Like, I mean, the last track on that album, March 14th, you know, Is There More, are like two very, very introspective tracks that I think you wouldn't put on Drake in that era. You know what I mean? But he's for sure regressed. But I think it stems from him blowing up. Because if you actually listen to Drake, which I feel like you have, a lot of Drake shit, bro, when he was first starting off, the basic shit of it was like, you know, I know I'm the top guy, but all these niggas hate me, and I'm mad that they all hate me. But like, I do so well, there's nothing they can do about it, but they're all plotting against me. It was a lot of foreshadowing about what's happening now, right? And that was like the first like 4 albums from Drake. It was like from Thank Me Later to Nothing Was the Same. It was kind of all that. They're plotting against me. They're trying to say this shit. I get these numbers, but they hate on me, blah, 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 blah. And then I think once he actually started getting the recognition that he felt he deserved, I don't necessarily think he didn't feel the need to be introspective anymore, but I think he wasn't introspective anymore. It's like niggas, everything he thought about himself, niggas were like, yeah, you're right. You know what I'm saying? So I think that caused him to be more distracted and to kind of regress over time. I mean, it's so funny is thinking that like Kendrick and J. Cole are these introspective people. Where if we're being honest, bro, like Drake was the first one out of those two to be this super introspective one. Like So Far Gone is way more introspective than I think a lot of their shit that they do, even now. You know what I mean? Because a lot of their introspection, I mean, up until Kendrick and Mr. Morale, or even J. Cole with For Your Eyes Only. Um, I don't like this jacket they put on. It's true. That's what I'm saying. Everybody's trying to act like Kendrick is so much more like equipped and he's so much more. And he's not, bro. I think this is more just like a kind of almost like Star Wars, light and dark. You have the Empire and the Rebels. So it's kind of conscious rap versus mainstream rap. So everything that a lot of people who love conscious rap hate about mainstream rap, they just threw on Drake. Because if you notice, you know, um, there's a lot of people who are like judging Drake for shit where you think about it and you're like, yo, not for nothing. Every rapper does that. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I'm sick and tired of Drake just fucking a bunch of hot girls. Why isn't he married? It's like, nigga, have you ever asked why Rick Ross isn't married? No. You know what I mean? Then people just be really talking shit, bro. And they kind of use that to kind of ignite this whole Kendrick thing and kind of be like, oh, well, Kendrick is the savior. When it's realistically, it's like Kendrick and J. Cole are kind of anomalies with the way that they carry themselves in hip hop. Um, that's what I always thought, where I'm like, in order for you to shit on Drake and be like, this isn't the way, you have to shit on the rest of hip hop. Like, I'll be honest with you, people are gonna fucking cut my head off on this, but like, if we're being honest, Drake is more of what the culture is than Kendrick has ever been. Kendrick is what we want the culture to be, but Drake is definitely what the culture is for sure. Fucking bad bitches, having mad money, making the top hits. You know what I mean? Getting into dumb, petty squabbles and shit. Like, bro, that's primarily what the culture is, and that's why he's so addicting to listen to. Um, you know, but I don't fucking know. I don't know what's gonna happen with these two. I'll be honest though, I've said this before a bunch of times. I don't necessarily think this battle is over either. Um, I don't think this battle is over in any way. I think they're gonna keep taking shots at each other, but we'll see how it goes. Oh, they're saying. Oh, you're saying Kendrick never claimed woke. You're right. You're right. Kendrick didn't ever claim woke, but people threw that on him, and I don't think that's something that he would necessarily throw away. You gotta understand about all these guys is that they're willing to be in whatever pocket the industry is going to give them. You know what I mean? I don't think they're as independent thinkers as you think. I think they're all doing what sells records, and I think they easily know what works for them. And I think Kendrick realized, especially he had always been political and shit like that, but I think once All Right dropped and then the whole George Floyd thing and everything, he definitely saw the dollar signs and he saw the attention and he understood it. If we know anything from this battle, it's that these people know how to capitalize on certain moments. And that's is exactly what Kendrick did. So he never claimed it, but he let it fall upon him. You know what I mean? Just like Drake never claimed that he's the necessarily the lover boy up until years and years and years and years later. And then he's like, all right, now I'm going to name my album that. You know what I mean? You kind of get in where you fit in, bro. You get in where you fit in. When it comes to this fucking industry shit, fitting in means dollars, man. But I don't know what's gonna happen with this with Kendrick, man. I'll be honest, like I don't know. Like let's be real here. There's not many people in here, but what do you guys think? Like I know Drake is, up top right now as far as the guy with all the hits. Do you think this loss to Kendrick repositions Drake? Do you think next time he drops in a real way that it's going to change? I feel you. Drake has definitely molded the culture over the past years. That's another thing too. I agree with you, Willie, because like people listen, if you don't like Drake, you don't like Drake. But I think people are trying to rewrite history and act as if he never impacted anything and did nothing but drain the culture of everything. Um, and I think it's bullshit because he's definitely his reign is solidified, no matter how you see it. To be honest, I think Drake's career is in limbo. I I agree to an extent. I don't necessarily think he has to drop a class. Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Um, I agree with you. I think what he's doing right now is kind of very clever in the sense that, like, he dropped the Sexy Red BBL Drizzy thing, which is kind of, shifting the attention that way, kind of clowning himself but smiling at it. Then he drops the Wagwan Delilah thing, which is easily just like a prank troll song. Um, that distracts enough that when he drops, it won't be as intense and scrutinized. And I also think that he's kind of trying to exhaust Kendrick's trolls. Because that's the thing. We all know about the whole thing with Family Matters where it got more down votes than it got up votes. And, the Heart Part 6 getting more down votes than it had up votes. I'm not saying that people didn't dislike the track, of course. But when has a Drake song ever got more down votes than up votes? Shit, when has one of my videos ever got more down votes than up votes? It doesn't happen, bro. I'm telling you right now, unless you have a video of you, beating up a dog or something, people aren't giving you more down votes than up votes. So they were just ratioing him the whole time. And I think his plan is to troll them so often that they eventually just get bored and get off of it. And then he can release stuff and it won't affect him within the algorithm. Um, I agree, they've definitely forced him to be 100 times more calculated. But if we're honest, it's like, bro, he should have been this calculated from the beginning. When he got into this beef with Meek Mill and everything like that, or when he got into this beef with Kendrick, he was thinking he was Meek Mill. It's like, nigga, no. Kendrick and Meek Mill are leaps and bounds apart. Drake has always been that person who, even if people hated on Drake, they've always considered him to be a very, very calculated guy. That's why when he was coming at Kendrick within this whole thing, people were like, listen, Kendrick's the spitter, but don't put off Drake. You know what I mean? But obviously we were all wrong. And he stumbled. He didn't just stumble, he completely ate shit. And that was awful. So I think a lot of people are kind of now second guessing him. How strong is this guy actually? And this goes back to what all of you were saying, where he has to drop a classic and he has to be more calculated, because I think a lot of people smell blood in the water. A lot of people smell blood in the water. And they're trying to figure out what's going on. And yeah, I think he definitely, I don't know if it's fully in limbo, but listen, I think even right now, if Drake dropped a song that was just okay, and it was a real song that he gave a lot of love to, and it was just okay, I think people would clown him, people would hurt him. It would hurt his standing. He wouldn't be number one anymore, but he would still be in the top 5 of people that could release things and get shit out. He would still have, sales, probably almost twice as good as Gunna or something like that. But it would take him more. It would stumble, and a lot of people would start writing different things about him. That's the whole thing about once you're in this area that he's in, is that you become such a polarizing person. You know what I mean? Like, it gets so bad. People, especially when it comes to Drake, people have a weird obsession with him where it gets so bad where they'll even embarrass themselves in order to embarrass him. Like, anybody remember when her loss came out and that whole like 21, can you do something for me? And everybody was saying that it was like zesty as hell and making all these jokes about him. And then all those videos with like guys twerking were like came out and everything. And it's like, it's a joke about Drake. It's like, okay, so a bunch of dudes, you do low key hate Drake, but at the same time, I think it's similar how the youth hated Jay-Z. The difference is that the internet is such a powerful thing now, you know. Um, and they hate him, but they love him, dude. I mean, you listen to a lot of these people. That's the thing when you become so big, bro. Is there'll be people copying you that don't even know they're copying you. You know, so it's crazy, you know. Um, that's the issue. Hip hop heads don't like him, and only has his diehards. That's true. I don't know. You're right. Like, hip, that's the thing though with Drake is that there's a lot of people pretending, which is still a huge. Yeah, no, you're right. Drake, the hard part about him, and this is why, in a way, I've always admired him. Like I said, I'm kind of a masochist in the way that, like, I admire Drake because whenever I watch him, it reminds me that no matter how good you are at something, people can still hate you. People can love your work so much that they'll try to distance your work from you and pretend as if they hate your work, even though they love it. Like a lot of hip hop heads, I'm telling you right now, secretly do like Drake, bro. They all listen to his songs, whatever. But in their heads, when they're around all their friends, they're pretending that they don't like this nigga shit, bro. You know, a lot of them pretend that they don't have respect for him. But if he was to roll up around them, they'd be like, they might not fan out, but they'd be like, oh, he does his shit. A lot of them, you know, pretend that they don't think he's formidable in any way as an MC. But when he goes at somebody or is in a beef, they're very engaged in it. You know, people wouldn't be hate watching this man, you know, if they didn't admire something about him on some level. So that's the real issue. And I also think Drake's main issue too is that years ago, and I think this stopped once Scorpion kind of dropped, and maybe even years before this, is that Drake stopped caring about the his diehard fans and started only caring about the casual fan. You know, as he got bigger and bigger, he started realizing like, wow, like people know me in a way that they don't know J. Cole, they don't know Kendrick Lamar, they don't know Vince Staples. Like, I can go over to Africa right now and each one of them knows exactly who I am and they know my songs. Like, I think that hit him so hard and kind of made him reach this next echelon, so much so that he just really no longer cares about the people who took lumps for him. You know, like there's people like me. It's like I was listening to Drake since Room for Improvement. I was listening to Drake when he was still on Degrassi and came out with a replacement girl. You know what I mean? Um, so I think he just doesn't care about people like that anymore. If he did, he would have came at Kendrick a lot harder. Right now, he's caring about the casual fan. So he's like, I'll drop a diss track because it'll get everybody to pay attention. And then once they start clowning me, all right, I'm gone. Whatever, I'm too big for this. Like, you know, um, he doesn't care about the people who really want to hit him spit. He's always going to have a mixed album. He's never just going to have a hip hop album. He's always going to have a mixed album because he doesn't care about people like that. And it's a shame, you know? Steph Curry of rap, I disagree. I think he's a little bit, I do say he's a little bit more like LeBron, just because, you know, no matter what his record may be, his time of dominance is unparalleled. And he's been doing it at such a high level for so long that you can't really argue with that. That's how I see him. You know what I mean? Um, I kind of see J. Cole as more of like the Steph Curry. You know what I mean? Someone who can get in there, top scorer, still a leader, dominance in terms of the sound waves. You know what I mean? As in terms of like radio waves, getting radio plays, dominance in the sense of his sound, um, dominating people. There's so many people who rap like Drake. Yeah, that's fine to have 17 Grammys, or sure, yeah, sure. But when I say dominance, I think there's bigger things than. First off, I mean, you know, if the roles were reversed and Kendrick had 17 Grammys, and I mean, if the roles were reversed and Drake had 17 Grammys and a Pulitzer, and Kendrick didn't have any of those things, we'd be saying, what does it matter? You know, a white institution's, validation. So those things don't really matter to me in the sense of that. When I say dominance, I mean in the fact that you go outside today, you know what I mean? And you're going to hear a Drake song somewhere, whether it's in a store, whether it's blasting out of somebody's car. You can't close your eyes, you can't close your ears without somebody um, playing that or you being immersed in Drake. And that's what I mean, that dominance. Because Jews in the I feel you. I mean, listen, there's people who have, probably outsold Drake on certain levels and shit, but I'm just saying in these last 15 years, let's be honest, 15 years is a very long time. In these last 15 years, Drake has been in the leader in that sense. You know what I mean? Maybe not always winning the Grammys, but he's always been in that area. Yeah, yeah. Kanye, Jay Z, and Kendrick are all legendary. Like, listen, whenever I'm talking about all these people, I'm never saying that one person isn't legendary and one person isn't. Let's get one thing clear. All these guys I've mentioned this whole time are all legends. Like 20 years from now, people are still going to be talking about these people. Um, but I just feel like Drake's in such a funny spot right now because his loss to Kendrick, I think, drove people to start pretending as if he's never really existed and he's only drained hip hop of resources. When in fact, he's given a lot to hip hop, I would say. I won't say that he's made everyone's career, but the Drake effect is real. It does give people a major boost. That's not to say that Migos wasn't going to blow up or something when that happened or whatever. When he did Versace, that's not to say that this person wouldn't eventually do well. But let's let's just be honest. A spade is a spade. When Drake drops with you, that helps you in your numbers, and that's real. But yo, I'm gonna get off here for right now. Trey Carter, thank you so much for checking this out. Thank you to everybody else who was watching stuff earlier. I'm sorry that it took me so long to get everything going. And this is kind of a we're not saying that, I'm just saying numbers aren't championships because that's true. I mean, listen, if we're going, Taylor would be the go. I mean, if we're talking about in all music, then I would say she kind of is. If we're going all music in one area, but in hip hop, I understand what you're saying, but I think sales helps those things, and it's all consideration. But I'm gonna check out here. It's late as fuck. I got work in the morning. I'll see you later, man. Peace out, everybody, and I'll probably be streaming tomorrow too. So we'll see what happens. Peace.